What time was the Eakins alarm clock set for?
There is no alarm clock. I just wake up.
So what time would the head coach arrive? Were you here before the players, or?
Yeah, I think there were some guys here before me this morning, which was good.
How do you
But yeah,
feel?
usually it's, listen, I'm up early. I just get up and come to the rink. I think our guys have actually enjoyed it. They don't know what to do with all their extra time now.
And do you think it's something that will continue, or is this sort of an experiment, or?
No, it was just, I think it may help us next week a little bit too. We're getting ready to head on the road and back up a time zone, and getting up a little earlier. We'll see if that helps us or go that way. But no, it's like I said before. I just wanted to. Holidays are over. Let's get up and get going. And at first, the players are always kind of, what are we doing, and why are we up so early? And then when you do it, they end up liking it. So. Yeah, well, once we get back off this road trip, we'll see where we're at.
But it's not, I mean, it could look like it's a punitive thing, or like, coach makes the guys get up at 6 in the morning, and that's not the message or the thought?
No.
Coach, I guess the big story this morning, Sam Gagne on the wing. Can you just take us through that decision?
Well, I don't know if that should be a big story because I was just having a look at it. I'm not even sure I'll stick with that tomorrow. So we were just talking about it in there with the staff, looking at Pittsburgh's lines. Is it the right thing to do tomorrow? So the good thing about, well, a lot of our players, like, Gags can play the wing, he can play in the middle. We got players that are, we can switch them wings. It's, once you get to this level, you should be, for me, you should be able to play anywhere. So he will be an option there, but I got to have another look at Pittsburgh's line and see if I like how our matchups are going to be. So I wouldn't rate, like, it shouldn't be headline news that Gags is maybe going to play wing.
You also had I suppose maybe the same applies that Arcobello might not stay with that combination, but he almost seems to have become a bit of a utility player for this team. You seem to be comfortable, with him anywhere because you kind of know what kind of effort you get from Mark.
Yeah, and he's for me, he's the, he's a safe player. He I can play him on the wing, play him at center. There's no headline news about that. He seems to be able to move to wherever, on whatever line, fourth line, you can move him up. And he just plays that normal, simple game for us. So, yeah, obviously, wherever Gags ends up is going to possibly affect him. So, yeah, once again, I wouldn't read a whole lot into it. All those lines might turn right back into how we finished the other night.
What would the benefit be of taking a guy that's at center and putting him on the wing? With Sam in particular, is it a simpler game for him to play? You can focus on a little bit like defensively. Is it simpler for him to play?
Well, I think it is. I think there's a lot less thinking on the wing. As a centerman, they always seem to end up down low in your zone, and you've got different responsibilities. But the thought is to hopefully maybe jumpstart him. That Gags in the past has been a guy that's been able to put up points, and I think he's played much better as of late. And but I thought if maybe if we put him with Nuge and Halsey, we could really get him going and getting not just a point a night, but multiple points, and then we could move him back into the middle. So. Listen, as a coach, you're constantly looking for answers. You're looking for, new structure in your lines. This morning I actually liked the looks of Arcobello and that line, but then when I looked at the Pittsburgh lines, you start wavering a little bit. So, but yeah, the focus is to get guys at least up and going to where they've been in the past. And And there's a lot of different, sometimes it's dangerous to look at the past. Like if you look at, a guy's numbers. Well, this is what he did last year. Well, he was playing with different players last year. There's all these different things that come into it. So, like I said, it may turn into something, and it may not turn into anything. But I think he can complement Nuge and Halsey, and I think they would complement him, and they could be a dangerous line. And then it allows us to move Ebbs to another line, and he can maybe jumpstart some guys there as well.
Talk a little bit about Ilya Vizgala. Penguins fans are fairly familiar with him from when he was in the East, but I think their perception of him is maybe tailored to like what we saw in the 24/7, the quirky personality kind of thing. Have you seen that here, or is it pretty much been all business with him?
No, I haven't seen any of the character on 24/7. He's been basically all business. He is a guy that, well, every one of those kids in there are different. Like they all have different personalities. They have different things that they're interested in. My conversations with one player may be all business all the time. The kid doesn't want to, have long conversations and talk about their day. They just want to talk about hockey, and that's it. And you learn that. But when I talk to Briz, usually I better have about 15 or 20 minutes, because we'll talk about hockey, we'll be talking about whatever, but it usually ends up somewhere else. And I always enjoy it. But he's a man of many interests. But all that funny stuff you saw on 24/7, we haven't seen it here.
Dallas, what's one of the number one things in the forefront of your mind when you're contending with a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Well, you actually, obviously you've got to focus on a couple of players, and we all know who they are. And you've got to be very aware of when they're on the ice. I think individually those guys can just crush you. Pittsburgh's done a great job this year with injuries continuing to have success. But they're a different team than we're used to playing. Like we're used to playing the St. Louis's and the LA's and the Anaheims, these big, hard, heavy teams that don't give you a whole lot. And but going to the game that we played in Pittsburgh, even though it's quite some time ago now, but looking at their last couple of games, it might be a team that maybe we're a little bit better suited to play. They want to play a speed game, a skill game, it looks like. And that's how we're built to play right now. We haven't been real successful against these big, heavy teams. And so the one thing with Pittsburgh is we're going to have to take note of who's on the ice, obviously, and minimize their speed. I think the key things with Crosby and Malkin is identify them early in the neutral zone, take their speed away from them there, and I think you can have some success.
Do you think you guys mentally start off a game against a team like Pittsburgh where the skill and speed is kind of a good match for you guys? Do you think mentally they're in a better place before they head into a matchup like that, as opposed to facing the LAs and the Anaheims and the St. Louis, knowing that physically you guys might be at a disadvantage?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them. I think you usually, as a player, at least my recollection is you just prepared for your opponent, but you're more prepared on how you were going to play. Like what were the important things for your own game and your team game. So I'm not sure that they would think that much about it, but our record clearly shows that we're having trouble against the larger teams. I don't think our players are in there dreading it, or I certainly know they're not licking their chops to play the Pittsburgh Penguins either. So it always comes back to I believe that, listen, we spent a ton of time pre-scouting teams and what are they doing, but in the end, afterwards, after the game, whether you won or you lost, you rarely talk about the other team. Oh, look, this is what they did. This is what they did. It's always what we did do or what we did not do. And our concern is how are we going to play and how are we going to instill good habits into our game.
Thank you.
Good.